When you hurt, when the pain runs so deep that it doesn't just visit your heart, it moves in, redecorates, and starts collecting rent in the form of tears, anger, silence, and confusion. When it feels like the world has betrayed you or abandoned you, and the very air you're breathing feels thick and heavy, like it's conspiring to choke the life out of your hope. That's the moment when you're invited, not broken, not dismissed, but invited into the sacred space of transformation, because pain, baby, pain isn't the end. It's the invitation, the call, the loud alarm that says it's time to shift. It's time to grow, it's time to unpack the weight you were never meant to carry and finally let yourself grieve what happened, what didn't happen, and what should have happened. And I know that may not sound like the victory speech you were hoping for, but hear me clearly. The first thing you do when you hurt is give yourself permission to feel it all. Don't dress it up, don't shrink it down, don't hand it a polite smile. Feel it, because you cannot heal what you do not reveal, and you can't move forward if you keep pretending like nothing ever knocked you down. So sit with it, cry the ugly tears, scream into the pillow, write it down with trembling hands if you have to, because your truth has value even when it's messy, especially when it's messy. And the second thing is this: don't you dare isolate yourself. Don't sit in that pain by yourself, convincing yourself that no one else will understand, because someone will, someone does. Someone has walked through their own fire, and they've got some water to offer you if you just be willing to let them see your flames, and I get it. Maybe the hurt came from someone you trusted, someone you loved, someone who should have protected you and didn't, someone who should have chosen you and didn't, someone who saw you fall and didn't lift a finger to help you up. And that pain runs deep. It rewrites the way you look at yourself. It convinces you that you're not worthy, that you're not enough, that you must have done something wrong to deserve it. But I need you to hear me with your whole soul right now. What happened to you is not your fault, but what you do with it next is your responsibility. Your healing belongs to you. Your comeback is waiting on you to say yes to it. And no, I'm not saying it's easy. I'm saying it's possible. I'm saying that buried underneath all that pain is a version of you that is wiser, stronger, more compassionate, more powerful than you've ever known. But she can't show up if you keep wearing the mask that says, "I'm fine." When you're not, she can't lead the next chapter if you keep rereading the one where you were hurt. So start by telling your truth, even if your voice shakes, even if you can only whisper it, because once you own your story, the story stops owning you. And once you stop trying to erase the hurt and instead learn from it, that's when the shift happens. That's when the scars become symbols of strength, not shame. That's when the breakdown becomes the breakthrough. And if the pain came from loss, if it came from grief, from something or someone that is no longer in your life, I want you to know that grief is not the enemy. It's the love that has nowhere to go. So let it out. Give it a place to land. Honor what you had. Mourn what could have been. But don't stop living because something ended. Don't shrink because someone left. Because your life, your purpose, your assignment didn't end with their absence. And if the pain came from failure, from mistakes, from choices you wish you could take back, baby, let me tell you, you're still worthy, you're still capable, and your past is not a life sentence. It's a life lesson, and you've got to stop using your mistakes as a weapon against yourself. Start using them as the foundation for your wisdom, because you don't have to get it right all the time to be worthy of peace, of joy, of love. And when you hurt, you have to surround yourself with reminders of your light. Post notes on your mirror that say, "I'm healing. I'm growing. I'm still here." Play music that speaks to your soul. Read stories of triumph. Listen to voices that lift, not shame, because the world will try to define you by what broke you, but you get to decide what builds you. And I need you to stop asking, "Why me?" and start asking, "What now?" Stop rehearsing the pain and start rewriting the plan. And maybe you can't see the full staircase yet. Maybe all you've got is one shaky step in front of you. But if you take it, if you just lean forward into that one bit of courage, the next one will come, and the next, until one day you'll look back and realize the pain didn't bury you. It birthed you, it didn't end your story. It rewrote your mission, and you'll realize you didn't just survive the hurt, you transformed because of it. You grew a new voice, a deeper compassion, a fiercer strength, and you'll carry that into rooms you were once too broken to enter. You'll stand on stages of your life that once felt too high to reach. You'll love again, trust again, believe again, and you'll thank the version of you that refused to quit in the middle of the storm, who stood up with shaky knees and said, "Not today, I fight." Because healing isn't about forgetting what hurt you. It's about remembering who you are beyond the hurt, and your name, your power, your purpose. None of it is tied to the person who left, the dream that died, or the wound that bled. It's tied to your decision to rise again and again and again. So What do you do when you hurt? You give yourself grace, you honor your pain, you seek your healing, and you remember that even on your hardest day, you are still enough, still chosen, still becoming, and this chapter of pain is not your ending, it's just your beginning in disguise. And just when you think you can't go any further, when it feels like your legs are made of lead and your soul is wrapped in fog, I want you to understand that this moment right here, the one where you feel empty, cracked, unraveling, is not the evidence of your weakness, but the birthplace of your power, because pain is not meant to be your final destination. It's meant to be your teacher, your trainer, your spotlight. And though it may not come with gentleness, it brings with it a clarity you never knew you needed. And yes, I know you didn't sign up for this. You didn't ask to be broken open, you didn't ask for the betrayal, the diagnosis, the loss, the heartache, the shame. But now that it's here, now that it has laid its weight on your chest and dared you to rise anyway, what are you going to do? Who are you going to choose to be? Because pain will push you, but purpose will pull you. And even if you don't know what that purpose looks like yet, even if you can't see the big picture, all you need to do is trust the next small step and take it with trembling faith. And when you do, something begins to shift. Not outside of you, but inside. Your spirit gets louder than your fear. Your vision gets clearer than your past. Your hope starts whispering again, and baby, when hope starts whispering again, that's when everything changes, because when you hurt, you're not just in survival mode, you're in soil, you're in the dark. But you're not buried, you're planted, and yes, it's tight, and yes, it's cold, and yes, it's lonely. But if you stay with it, if you nourish it with truth and tears and grace, you will grow, you will push through, and what blooms from your pain won't be weak. It'll be wildly resilient, beautifully scarred, and unapologetically real. And let me tell you, that kind of growth, the kind that rises from ashes, that walks with a limp but speaks with authority, that knows the valley but still reaches for the mountain, that kind of growth is what the world needs more of, because someone is waiting on your healing to remind them that theirs is possible. 2. Someone is watching your comeback to believe that their rise is still worth chasing. Someone is clinging to your words to silence their own doubt. So don't you dare believe the lie that your pain is pointless. Don't you dare believe that your story is too messy to be used. Don't you dare believe that you're too far gone to return to joy, because every ounce of hurt you've walked through has carved a deeper well for your light to pour from. Every heartbreak has shaped a softer soul. Every disappointment has prepared you to dream more fearlessly. And while it may take time, and while healing may come in waves that sometimes crash harder than you expected, keep showing up for yourself. Keep saying your name with love. Keep building your peace brick by brick. And know that every tear cried in silence was heard. Every sleepless night was seen. Every unanswered prayer was not ignored but redirected, because you are still in the process, and the process is still holy, even when it hurts. And while the world rushes toward perfection and filters and fake smiles, you're learning how to be whole, how to stand barefoot in your truth, how to show your scars without shame. And that, my friend, is freedom, that is strength, that is beauty redefined, not by what you avoided, but by what you survived, by what you overcame, by the joy you reclaimed piece by piece. And there will come a day when the pain that once silenced you becomes the platform that empowers you, when the thing you thought would destroy you becomes the very tool you used to build others up, when the tears you cried in the dark water, the dreams you never thought would grow again. And on that day, you'll look in the mirror and you won't see broken. You'll see brave, you won't see shattered, you'll see shaped, you won't see loss, you'll see legacy. And the beautiful thing is, that day won't come by accident. It'll come because you chose to lean in when life pushed hard, because you refused to let go of the belief that there's something on the other side of this, because you decided to believe. Even if only with the last thread of your strength, that your best chapters have not been written yet, and your story is still unfolding with power and purpose and passion. So keep going. Even if all you've got is one step at a time, keep breathing, even when it feels like the weight might crush you, because you are not your pain, you are not your trauma, you are not your past. You are a warrior in process, a masterpiece under construction, a miracle in motion, and the world needs your light, your love, your lessons, your story, because nobody can do you like you, and what you're becoming is far too beautiful to be aborted just because it hurts right now. So rise again, speak again, trust again, love again, heal again, because you, beloved, were never meant to stay stuck in the wound. You were born to rise in the healing, and I know there will still be days where the weight sneaks back in, where your chest tightens and your joy feels far, where memories creep up like shadows at your doorstep, knocking without warning and daring you to open the door again. And on those days, I want you to be gentle with yourself. Not perfect, not polished, just gentle, because healing is not linear. It's not a straight shot upward. It's a sacred spiral. Sometimes you'll feel like you're back where you started, but really you're just deeper, stronger, more aware this time around, and every time the ache resurfaces, it's not a failure. It's an invitation to tend to your soul again. Check in to offer yourself some grace, because healing doesn't mean the pain never happened. It means the pain no longer controls you, and when you can stand in the middle of your storm and still whisper, "But I'm still here," you're already walking in power, already reclaiming the pieces that once felt scattered beyond repair. And some days, yes, your strength will look like speaking on stages, encouraging others, pouring out wisdom from your cup of experience. But other days, your strength will look like getting out of bed when your heart feels heavy, answering the phone when you want to go silent, saying no to protect your peace, or saying yes to opportunities that scare you but stretch you. And both versions of strength matter. Both are sacred, because you are not here to impress people. You are here to express purpose, and purpose often comes wrapped in pain, but only if you're brave enough to unwrap it and lean into the mess of it all. Because that's where your magic is, not in what's been untouched by life, but in what's been touched, pressed, shaped, and still shines anyway. And baby, let me tell you something else. Sometimes what hurt you was necessary to disrupt the version of you that was comfortable settling, tolerating, pretending, pleasing, or hiding. Sometimes the pain was the fire that burned off your masks, your illusions, your excuses, so the real you, the bold you, the brilliant you, the beautifully imperfect you, could finally rise. And I know it's hard to thank the pain. I know it feels unnatural to find gratitude in grief, but when you look back later with healed eyes, you'll see that what was meant to break you actually became the path that built you. And not just for you, but for every person who's been silently waiting for someone to go first. Someone to survive and say, "Me too, but look, I made it through." And that someone is you, not because you have all the answers, not because you're never afraid, but because you kept showing up even when it hurt, and your presence becomes permission for others to rise. And when that starts to happen, when your pain becomes someone else's pathway, when your truth becomes someone else's turning point, when your voice becomes someone else's victory, you'll understand that what you went through didn't just matter. It was sacred, and every tear had a purpose. Every scar has a story, and your heart, your big, beautiful, healing heart, is not broken, it's becoming. And becoming is messy, it's raw, it's vulnerable, but it's real, and real will always win over perfect. And I know the world may still try to sell you the lie that you've got to have it all together. But baby, listen. What if your power lives in the parts of you that don't have it all figured out? What if your strength is in your softness, your courage is in your cracking voice, your leadership is in your honesty? And what if healing isn't about fixing yourself, but finally embracing all of yourself, the whole mosaic of you, pain, progress, pitfalls, and all, and carrying that with honor into every room, every relationship, every dream you dare to birth, because you were never broken, just breaking open. And when you learn to live open, even if it means risking, even if it means feeling, you start to experience joy in its most raw, unfiltered form. And joy is not the absence of pain, it's the defiant decision to love, to laugh, to hope, to rise, even when pain tried to silence you. And when you walk like that, talk like that, live like that, you become unstoppable, not because life doesn't hit you, but because you refuse to let it end you, because you've learned that being hurt isn't the same as being helpless, that being broken isn't the same as being finished, and that being in pain doesn't mean you stop creating, loving, giving, believing, because you are more than what hurt you, more than what they said, more than what you lost. And now is the time, this is the season. Step into the fullness of who you were always meant to be, not just because the world needs your story, but because you owe it to the girl you used to be, the one who sat in silence and thought she'd never feel whole again, the one who cried herself to sleep and thought nobody noticed, the one who showed up for others while no one showed up for her. She fought for this moment, and you are her answered prayer. So walk forward, not with fear, but with reverence, not with guilt, but with grace. And let every step you take be a declaration that yes, you were hurt, but you are not defeated. Yes, you were wounded, but you are not worthless. Yes, you were broken open. But what bloomed from your brokenness is more beautiful, more powerful, more purposeful than you ever imagined possible. And I know you might still be asking why. Why did it have to happen like that? Why did the people you loved the most become the ones who hurt you the deepest? Why did the season that was supposed to bring break through leave you breathless from the weight of it all? Why did you have to keep climbing When all you wanted was a break, a moment to exhale, a space to be seen without having to be strong. And while I don't have all the answers, I do know this. Sometimes the why doesn't come right away. Sometimes the why only reveals itself after the storm has passed, after the tears have dried, after the shaking has stilled, and sometimes the why isn't about explaining the pain. It's about empowering the purpose, because maybe what happened wasn't fair, but maybe your survival becomes the fuel to fight for someone else who's where you used to be. Maybe your story becomes the light in someone else's darkness. Maybe your experience becomes the exact mirror someone else needs to recognize their own strength. And I get it. It's a heavy assignment, but you weren't chosen because you're flawless. You were chosen because you're faithful, because even in your doubt, you dared to hope again. Because even in your heartbreak, you still reached for healing. Because even when your hands were trembling, you still showed up with love, and that counts for something more than the world will ever tell you. And sometimes when it feels like nobody sees your sacrifice, like your silent battles go unnoticed, like your effort is invisible, I want you to remember that the most important person sees it, you, and you deserve to be proud of how you've carried yourself, how you've kept going, how you've kept choosing life even when it felt like it kept choosing pain, because there's a different kind of strength that lives in people who have been through the fire and didn't let it harden them, who have tasted bitterness but still choose sweetness, who have seen betrayal but still choose love, and that's who you are. That's who you're becoming every time you choose healing over hate, growth over guilt, power over pity. And I'm not saying it's easy. No, this path will cost you something. It will cost you the right to stay bitter, the comfort of being stuck, the attention that comes with victimhood, the validation of being wounded. But what you gain on the other side, the joy, the peace, strength, the ability to stand tall in your truth and say, this is me, this is my story, and I love myself through all of it. That's priceless. And when you reach that place, even if only for a moment at a time, you begin to understand that the hurt wasn't the end, it was the invitation. Beginning, the moment where everything painful cracked you open just enough for the light to pour in. And what a powerful thing it is to be lit from within, to not need the approval, the applause, the permission of anyone else to validate your process, your healing, your journey. And yes, the pain tried to keep you small, tried to convince you that you weren't enough, that you had to shrink, that you had to apologize for taking up space. But you're rewriting that narrative now. You're reclaiming your voice, your worth, your dignity, and that kind of healing. It's contagious. It's generational. It doesn't just shift your life. It shifts the lives of the people watching you, learning from you, being changed by the way you refuse to bow to brokenness. And yes, your past has a chapter of pain, but baby, your future has volumes of purpose. And every day you get up, every time you breathe through the ache, every moment you speak life into yourself instead of lies, you are turning that pain into a platform, that heartbreak into healing, that breakdown into breakthrough. And I want you to carry this truth with you wherever you go. You don't have to wait until you're fully healed to be powerful. You don't have to wait until all the pieces come together to be impactful. You don't have to wait for perfect closure or understanding to start living again, because healing isn't a destination. It's a decision you make every day to keep walking even when it hurts, to keep believing even when the past still echoes, to keep building a life that reflects who you truly are, not just what you've been through. And baby, who you truly are is enough, more than worthy, more than capable, more than resilient. And this season, this stretch, this sacred heart place, it's just the cocoon, it's not the grave, it's not the end. And if you can love yourself through this, if you can nurture your soul while still aching, if you can keep speaking life into your dreams even with tears in your eyes, you'll not only survive, you'll rise, you'll inspire, and you lead, not because you never fell apart, but because you dared to put the pieces back together, one breath, one truth, one brave step at a time. And when you finally stand up, taller than your trauma, louder than your doubt, stronger than your scars, I want you to remember this moment, not because it defines you, but because it refined you, because it shaped you in the fire and revealed the gold that was always buried beneath the surface. And as you rise, know that it's okay to carry the memory of the pain without carrying the weight of it. It's okay to honor what you've been through without allowing it to become the headline of your identity. It's okay to say, that happened to me, but it does not have to keep happening in me. Because the greatest flex is healing when you had every reason to stay broken, loving when you had every reason to shut down, trusting again when everything inside you said protect yourself, and that choice, that decision to show up when it would have been easier to give up. That is what makes you unstoppable. That is what makes you powerful. That is what makes you divine. And yes, it's still going to hurt sometimes. Healing doesn't mean you'll never cry again. It means you'll know why you're crying. It means you'll cry with purpose. It means those tears will water your growth instead of drown your soul. And when you realize you can hurt and heal at the same time, love and grieve in the same breath, forgive and still have boundaries, then you begin to master this beautiful, messy art of living, not surviving, living. And when you live like that, you give other people the courage to live too, because they see the fire in your eyes. They see the light in your cracks. They hear the authority in your voice when you say, I've been there, and you're going to make it. And that's what healing does. It multiplies, it echoes, it transcends timelines and generations. Because when you choose to heal, you're not just doing it for you. You're doing it for the people who didn't get the chance. For the little girl inside you who never felt safe enough to speak. For the version of you who smiled through the pain so others could stay comfortable. For the future you who will walk with unshakable peace. For the daughter, the son, the friend, the stranger who will one day hear your story and find the courage to rewrite their own. And if you ever forget why you started this journey, come back to that. Come back to love, come back to legacy, come back to truth. Because truth will always find you in the dark and whisper, you were never alone. And if today you feel like you're still in that dark place, still buried beneath grief, beneath failure, beneath shame, I want you to hear me right now. You are not buried, you are planted, and planted things grow, and growth is slow, it's silent, it's unseen at times, but it's happening, even when you can't feel it, even when your roots are stretching through rocky soil, even when the breakthrough hasn't broken through yet. You are still growing, still becoming, and one day, not too far from now, you will bloom so boldly that even the things that tried to break you will bow in reverence. Because they didn't know who they were messing with. They didn't know that what was meant for your destruction became the very material you used to build your destiny. They didn't know that your bounce back muscle was built in silence, in prayer, in tears, in the late nights and the early mornings. And now it's your time, not because everything is perfect, but because you are ready. You're ready to walk in peace instead of proving yourself, to show up whole instead of hustling for validation, to be seen in your softness and still know you are strong, to be vulnerable and still know you are safe. And when you step into that kind of power, baby, you change the atmosphere. Rooms shift when you walk in. Hearts soften when you speak. Healing happens just by you existing as your full, radiant, healed self. And if you ever find yourself slipping again, because life will try you, triggered will return, pain will knock again, just remember you've already survived worse. You've already faced the storm and came out soaked in strength. And you don't have to go back to who you used to be to prove anything to anyone. You just have to keep becoming who you were always meant to be, fierce, focused, loved enough, and deeply worthy of a life that feels as good as it looks. So hold your head high, let your scars show. Speak your truth even if your voice shakes. Love again even if your heart still trembles, and most of all, trust that what's ahead is still greater than what's behind you, because healing is not the end of your story. It's the beginning of your most powerful chapter, and baby, it starts now.